You're not lazy, you're stuck in a loop of hesitation, overthinking, and guilt. And the only way to break it isn't motivation, it's action. Let's get one thing straight. Procrastination isn't about being lazy. It's about avoiding discomfort. You're not sitting around because you don't care. You're sitting around because you're scared. Scared to start. Scared to fail. Scared that if you try, it still won't be enough. And so you scroll, you distract, you promise yourself you'll start tomorrow. But tomorrow, that's just another lie dressed as hope. Here's the truth, no one's coming to save you. No one's going to drag you off the couch. No one's going to push start for you. You've got to do that part even when you don't feel ready. You keep waiting for motivation, but motivation is never coming. Motivation is a result of action, not the cause of it. Think about it. When you start cleaning your room, writing that email, or going for a run, you don't feel motivated before doing it, right? You feel motivated after. That's because the moment you start, you interrupt the pattern of procrastination. You take your power back. The only way, and I mean the only way, to stop procrastinating is to act before your brain talks you out of it. That means the second you think, I should do that, you count down 5, 4, 3, 1, go, stand up, move, start. Because hesitation is the death of progress. Every time you hesitate, your brain creates doubt. Doubt creates fear. Fear creates delay, and delay becomes your default. You don't need a new strategy. You don't need a better planner. You don't even need more time. You need momentum. Start with one small action. Open the document. Put on your shoes. Make the call. The size doesn't matter. Movement does. You're never going to feel ready. You're never going to wake up one morning magically disciplined. You have to decide to become that person. One choice at a time. Remember this. Every time you choose action over avoidance, you're building a new identity. One that's stronger than your excuses. So the next time you feel that pull to delay, don't think. Don't overanalyze. Don't wait for inspiration. Just move. Because discipline isn't built in comfort. It's built in the small, uncomfortable moments when you do what you don't feel like doing. The only way to stop procrastinating is to stop waiting to feel ready. Action first, motivation second, results last. So take the first step now, because tomorrow doesn't exist. Only now does. You're not lazy. You've just been telling yourself the wrong story. Every time you put something off, every time you avoid a task, every time you distract yourself with your phone instead of doing what matters, you call it laziness. But it's not laziness. It's fear disguised as procrastination. It's your brain trying to protect you from the discomfort of doing something uncertain, difficult, or emotionally risky. Deep down, you want to move forward. You want to get things done. You want to feel proud of yourself. But the moment you think about starting, that inner voice whispers, what if you fail? What if it's not good enough? What if you can't finish? And so instead of taking action, you retreat into comfort. You open another app, scroll a little more, make another excuse, and tell yourself you'll start later. Fear is the real reason you delay. It's not that you don't have time, or that you're not capable, or that you lack motivation. It's that you're afraid of what happens when you try. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of effort. Sometimes it's not even fear of losing. It's fear of what success might demand from you. You've built safety in your routines, even if they're unproductive. You've built comfort in your distractions, even when they leave you feeling empty. You don't procrastinate because you don't care. You procrastinate because you care too much. You want it to be perfect, you want it to go right, and that pressure paralyzes you. When you're about to take action, your brain immediately senses risk. It recognizes that starting means leaving the familiar, and it hates that. The human mind is wired for survival, not progress. That means it will always pull you back toward what feels safe, even if that safety is slowly destroying your confidence. So instead of feeling fear directly, you feel hesitation. You tell yourself, I'll do it later when I'm in the mood, or I just need to be more motivated. Those thoughts are just fear in disguise. The moment you understand this, everything changes. You realize that procrastination isn't a personality flaw, it's an emotional pattern, and like any pattern, you can break it. The key is to recognize that discomfort isn't danger. Feeling resistance doesn't mean something's wrong. It means you're on the edge of growth. Every big thing you've ever accomplished started with a moment of discomfort. The difference between people who move forward and those who stay stuck isn't talent or luck. It's their relationship with fear. People who break free from procrastination don't wait for fear to disappear, they move with it. They accept that fear is part of the process. They stop labeling it as a reason to stop and start using it as a signal to begin. Every time you delay something that matters, you teach your brain that fear wins. Every time you take action despite the fear, you teach your brain that you win. That's how you rebuild trust with yourself. That's how you turn hesitation into confidence. You can't think your way out of procrastination. You have to act your way out of it. Fear will always whisper, but it loses its power the moment you move. Most people wait for motivation like it's some magical force that appears out of nowhere, ready to push them into action. They say things like, I'll start when I feel ready, or I just need to get motivated first. But that's the biggest trap. Motivation doesn't come before action. It comes after. It's not the spark that gets you started. It's the fuel that shows up once you've already begun. The truth is, motivation is a side effect of progress. It's a chemical response your brain gives you when you take action and see even a small result. You feel good after you start, not before. That's why waiting for motivation keeps you stuck. You sit there waiting to feel inspired when the very thing that would create that feeling is the act of doing something. Think about it. You never feel like working out before you start, but once you've finished, you feel amazing. You never feel like cleaning your space, but once it's done, you feel clear and proud. That's not coincidence. That's how your brain works. It rewards action with energy, not the other way around. But here's the problem: your brain also rewards avoidance with temporary relief. When you delay something stressful, you get a short-term dopamine hit. You feel better for a moment, but that relief quickly fades and turns into guilt. That's how procrastination becomes addictive. You chase relief instead of results. The only way to break that cycle is to reverse it, to take action before your feelings align. Because your feelings will never lead, they follow. The reason motivation doesn't show up first is that your mind is built for safety, not growth. The unknown feels threatening, so your brain resists starting anything that feels hard or uncertain. That resistance shows up as excuses. I'm too tired. I don't have time. I'll do it tomorrow. But underneath those excuses is the simple truth that you don't feel like it. And that's exactly when you have to act. You don't wait until you feel ready to take action. You act to become ready. The moment you take even the smallest step, you shift from thinking to doing. That shift creates momentum, and momentum creates motivation. Action changes your emotional state faster than thought ever can. You can sit for hours thinking about what you should do and feel more anxious by the minute, but take one small action. Open the laptop, write the first sentence, lace up your shoes, and instantly your energy changes. The anxiety softens, the doubt quiets, and suddenly you feel a spark of motivation. That spark didn't come from waiting, it came from movement. That's the secret high performers understand. They don't rely on feeling motivated. They rely on habits that force action. They know that feelings are unreliable. If you build your life around how you feel, you'll stay inconsistent. But if you build it around what you do, you'll stay in motion. You don't need to feel inspired to take action. You just need to start, because every action, no matter how small, triggers progress, and progress fuels motivation. That's why action is the cause and motivation is the effect. The moment you move, you create energy. The longer you wait, the more that energy fades. So if you're waiting to feel motivated before you start, you'll be waiting forever. But if you start before you feel ready, motivation will always catch up to you. Every time you hesitate, you give your brain permission to talk you out of what you need to do. Hesitation might seem harmless. It's just a few seconds of delay. But in those few seconds, your brain starts to build a case against action. It tells you it's not the right time, that you're too tired, that it won't work out anyway. And before you know it, the moment passes. You're back to scrolling, back to thinking, back to waiting for the perfect mood. That hesitation is the invisible enemy of progress. It's the quiet killer of dreams because it replaces momentum with overthinking. The truth is, your mind can't talk you out of something if you move fast enough. The second you act, you interrupt the loop of doubt forming in your head. You shift from thought to movement, from hesitation to execution. When you feel that urge to do something, make the call, start the project, go for the run. That's your instinct pushing you toward growth. But if you don't act on it immediately, your brain steps in. It starts analyzing, predicting, and protecting you from anything uncomfortable. That's why it's so important to interrupt hesitation the moment it starts. Because once your brain gets involved, it's already looking for ways to stop you. You can't think your way into action. You have to act your way out of hesitation. And the fastest, most powerful way to do that is through immediate movement. Don't wait. Don't negotiate. Just move. Counting down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 isn't about magic. It's about breaking the pattern. It gives your mind just enough structure to override the mental chatter. The moment you hit one, you move. You stand up, you start typing, you take the first step. That single decision shifts your focus from thinking about it to doing it. It's simple, but it's not easy because your brain is wired to choose comfort. That's why you need a system to beat hesitation before it beats you. Every time you use it, you train your brain to trust action over avoidance. You teach yourself that movement is safe, that discomfort is temporary, and that starting is always the hardest part. The power of immediate action isn't in how big the step is. It's in the timing. The faster you move, the less time fear has to grow. Think about the last time you wanted to do something bold but froze. The longer you waited, the heavier it felt, right? That's hesitation feeding on your inaction. The only antidote is speed. Don't give your mind time to convince you otherwise. You don't need confidence to start. You gain confidence by starting. Every second you hesitate, your belief weakens. Every time you act instantly, your belief strengthens. That's how you build momentum, by acting faster than your doubt can speak. When you practice moving immediately, you start to build a new identity. You become the person who doesn't wait for the right time or perfect conditions. You become the person who moves. And that shift in identity changes everything. Momentum replaces fear, and hesitation loses its hold on you. You stop letting your thoughts control you and start controlling your thoughts through action. The moment you feel that pull to delay, count down and go. The window between intention and hesitation is small. Seize it before it closes. People often believe that success is built from big dramatic moves, the kind that change everything overnight. But the truth is, the biggest changes come from the smallest actions done consistently. You don't need to make a giant leap, you just need to take a single step and then another. Small actions might seem insignificant in the moment, but they carry incredible power because they create momentum. Momentum is what turns a simple decision into a habit and a habit into transformation. The problem is that most people never get started because they're waiting for the perfect plan, the perfect timing, or the perfect conditions. But perfection doesn't exist. Waiting for it keeps you stuck. Starting small, however, gets you moving, and once you're moving, everything gets easier. When you take a small action, your brain sees evidence that you're capable. You shift from thinking, I did. That small win releases dopamine, a chemical that reinforces progress and builds motivation. Each little step becomes proof that you can follow through, and that proof slowly rewires your brain to trust yourself again. It's like pushing a car that's stuck in the mud. At first, it feels impossible, but the moment it starts to roll, it becomes easier with every inch. That's momentum, and it always starts small. The first sentence of a book, the first 5 minutes of a workout, the first call you make, all of these small acts compound into something much greater than they appear. The mistake people make is thinking that if it's not huge, it doesn't matter. But what matters is consistency, not scale. If you can't do everything, do something. If you can't finish, just start. Those tiny moments of movement keep your brain engaged and your energy alive. Every big achievement you've ever seen started with someone who decided to begin, even when it didn't feel like enough. A single brick doesn't look like much, but when you keep stacking them, you build something solid. The same goes for your goals. Progress builds on progress. The hardest part is always the first step, and once you take it, the next one comes more naturally. Small actions also silence perfectionism. When you focus on one small step, you take pressure off yourself to do everything flawlessly. You give yourself permission to improve as you go, rather than waiting until everything's just right. That's where freedom lies, in progress, not perfection. Every step, no matter how tiny, sends a message to your subconscious. I'm moving forward. That identity shift is what keeps you going when motivation fades. The more you act, the more momentum you gain and the less resistance you feel. Over time, those micro actions add up in ways that surprise you. The book gets written, the habit sticks. It all starts with one simple decision to do something today. So even when it feels like it won't matter, take the smallest possible step. Open the document, send the message, set the timer. Because small actions create motion, and motion is the seed of change. Once you're in motion, it's no longer about feeling ready. It's about keeping the energy alive. Momentum doesn't come from waiting for inspiration. It comes from stacking small wins until movement becomes your default. Discipline isn't about being in the mood to do what you need to do. It's about doing it whether you feel like it or not. The truth is, you'll never always feel motivated, but you can always choose to be disciplined. Discipline is the bridge between goals and results, between intention and reality. It's what separates people who dream about change from those who actually create it. Every time you take action in the face of resistance, you're building strength. You're proving to yourself that your decisions, not your emotions, are in charge. Most people think discipline is about punishment or restriction, but it's not. It's a form of self-respect. It's saying, I care enough about my future to do what's necessary now. Discipline means showing up when it's uncomfortable, when no one's watching, and when excuses sound more convincing than effort. Growth never happens in comfort. If you only act when you feel inspired, you'll stay exactly where you are. The moments that change you are the ones when you push through discomfort, when you choose action over avoidance, and when you stop negotiating with your excuses. Every time you honor your commitment instead of your comfort, you're rewiring your brain. You're teaching it that effort isn't something to fear. It's something to embrace. Over time, this creates a powerful shift in identity. You stop being the person who tries and start being the person who does. That's what discipline builds, an identity rooted in consistency, not feelings. Discipline also gives you freedom. It sounds backwards, but the more disciplined you are, the freer you become. When you control your actions, you stop being controlled by impulses. You stop living reactively and start living intentionally. You no longer waste time fighting the same battles every day because your choices are already made. You wake up and act, not debate. You follow through, not because it's easy, but because it's who you are. That's real freedom, the freedom to trust yourself. And that trust doesn't appear overnight. It's earned through repetition, through doing what you said you'd do, even when it's inconvenient or hard. The reason discipline feels so difficult is because it requires you to go against what feels good in the moment. Your brain craves comfort, but discipline demands discomfort. The trick is to stop waiting for the feeling to change before you move. The feeling won't change until you do. The moment you take action, even a small one, the resistance starts to fade. You don't need to enjoy it. You just need to begin. Once you start, your focus shifts from avoidance to engagement, and that shift gives you power. That's why the hardest part of anything is starting, not doing. Once you're in motion, discipline takes over. Discipline isn't something you're born with, it's something you build. It grows every time you do what you said you would, even when you don't want to. Those moments compound, strengthening your confidence in your character. Over time, it stops feeling like effort and starts feeling like normal. You stop needing motivation because you've trained yourself to act without it. That's when everything changes. The resistance doesn't go away. You just stop letting it control you. That's what true discipline is, doing what's required, especially when it's uncomfortable. Because you know what's on the other side of that discomfort is everything you've been chasing. Here's a powerful conclusion and closing note written in the same motivational, emotionally charged tone as the rest of your speech. Wrapping up, the only way to stop procrastinating. With strength and clarity, you've spent too long waiting for the perfect time, the right feeling, the moment when everything finally clicks. But that moment isn't coming. The truth is, there is no perfect time. There's only now. Every second you wait, your dreams drift further away. Every excuse you make steals a piece of your potential. The world doesn't reward intention, it rewards action. The difference between people who make progress and those who stay stuck isn't talent, luck, or opportunity. It's the courage to move when it's uncomfortable. You have everything you need already inside you. You don't need another plan, another push, or another promise to yourself. You just need to decide. Decide that you're done letting hesitation run your life. Decide that you're done negotiating with your excuses. Decide that you're ready to show up. Even when it's messy, even when it's uncertain, even when you're scared. Because the moment you move, you take your power back. You break the cycle of procrastination the instant you take action. It doesn't matter if it's small. It doesn't matter if it's imperfect. What matters is that you start. Progress is built one choice at a time. Each small decision to act builds momentum, and that momentum becomes unstoppable. One day you'll look back and realize the hardest part wasn't the work. It was deciding to begin. And you did. You started. You moved, you changed. So stop waiting for the right mood, the right plan, or the right motivation. You don't need any of it. What you need is the decision to begin now. Because once you start, everything changes. The fear fades, the energy rises, the confidence builds, and the life you've been waiting for finally starts to take shape. Not someday, but today. This is your reminder: the only way to stop procrastinating is to stop waiting to feel ready. Act now. Move now. Build now. Your future self is counting on the choices you make today. Thank you for being here, for showing up, and for listening. But most importantly, for deciding to take back control of your life. Remember, the gap between where you are and where you want to be isn't time. It's action. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for the feeling. Start where you are with what you have and take the first step right now. Because one day you'll look back and realize that moment, this decision, was the one that changed everything. Thank you for watching. Stay strong, stay disciplined, and keep moving forward. Because your time is now.